Betsy Hackman, the woman who stood by Gene Hackman's side for years, has departed in circumstances shrouded in mystery. A call from the other side? A cause of death riddled with inconsistencies? A last-minute alteration to a will? And now, a freshly released autopsy report has confirmed what many of us have long suspected. But is this the truth, or merely a flawless performance? Could someone be pulling the strings behind the scenes? Who stands to gain from Betsy's exit? And why is Hollywood eerily silent? This isn't just a tragedy. It's a tale that, if you dare to dig deeper, might forever change how you see Gene Hackman. But bear in mind, this is just my speculation, because some secrets are best left undisturbed. The Santa Fe sky on February 12th was gloomier than usual. The desert wind swept through the quiet streets, carrying an indescribable chill. No one in this small town could have imagined that, on that very morning, a mysterious phone call would shatter everything they thought was set in stone on the coroner's paperwork. Betsy Hackman, wife of Hollywood legend Gene Hackman, had passed away on February 11th. Or so the official coroner's report claimed. Yet, just one day later, a doctor insisted she was still there, at least in the voice that echoed through the phone line at Cloudberry Health Clinic. Mrs. Hackman didn't die on February 11th because she called my clinic on February 12th. Those words from Dr. Josiah Child, head of Cloudberry Health in Santa Fe, sparked a seismic shock. Speaking to the press, he boldly emphasized that Betsy Hackman had phoned his clinic on the morning of February 12th, requesting an appointment for that afternoon. If this is true, the entire coroner's report becomes a glaring question mark. What's really happening here? A bizarre clerical error? A mix-up in records? Or something far more unsettling? A mystery no one dares confront head-on? According to the official coroner's report, Betsy Hackman was declared dead on February 11th from hantavirus, a rare illness transmitted by rodents. What's striking, though, is that hantavirus doesn't bring a swift end. Those afflicted typically endure days of severe breathing difficulties before the condition worsens fatally. Yet, when she called the clinic on the morning of February 12th, Betsy Hackman's voice was clear and robust, showing no signs of respiratory distress. Another fact deepens the enigma. 2 days before that call, on February 10th, Betsy had contacted Cloudberry Health to schedule a checkup for Gene Hackman. He'd been showing signs of declining health, and she wanted a heart exam arranged for her husband. But that appointment was canceled on February 11th with a reason relayed over the phone to clinic staff. "My husband isn't well, so I'll need to postpone the visit." Just 1 day after canceling, the clinic received another call from her. This time, though, she wasn't speaking about Gene. She booked an appointment for herself, set for 3 p.m. on February 12th. But then, Betsy Hackman never showed up. The most chilling question isn't whether Betsy was alive on February 12th, but rather, who made that call to the clinic? If the coroner's report is accurate, and Betsy truly was gone by February 11th, then who was on the line on the morning of February 12th? Did that voice genuinely belong to Betsy Hackman? Or was it simply someone cleverly mimicking her tone? "We made her an appointment, but she never showed up," Dr. Josiah Child recounted. Cloudberry Health tried calling Betsy back when she didn't arrive as scheduled. But no one picked up. No one responded. Why would someone planning a health checkup fail to appear? Why wouldn't they answer when the clinic called back? All these questions point to a single theory. Either the coroner's report is wrong, or someone is deliberately weaving a web of mystery around Betsy Hackman's departure. There's a gap in Betsy Hackman's timeline. February 11th. The coroner's report states Betsy Hackman left this world. February 12th, morning. Cloudberry Health receives a call from Betsy Hackman. February 12th, afternoon. She doesn't show up for her promised appointment. So, what happened between those moments? If Betsy was truly gone by February 11th, who placed the call on February 12th? If she was alive on the morning of February 12th, what happened shortly after to ensure she'd never appear again? I am not a hantavirus expert, but most patients with that diagnosis die in a hospital. An anonymous doctor in Los Angeles told the press. According to him, most hantavirus victims are hospitalized as symptoms escalate, rather than simply vanishing abruptly, as Betsy Hackman was said to have done. So, if Betsy Hackman truly had hantavirus, why were there no traces of her illness in that final call? Why could she still phone, book an appointment, and chat with the clinic without any hint of weakness? Betsy Hackman's story began with a firm claim. She passed on February 11th. But a single call the next day shattered every assumption about that. Is it a flaw in the coroner's report? A mysterious twist in Betsy's final hours? Or a secret no one dares acknowledge? As Cloudberry Health maintains its silence with no further explanations, one question echoes in the minds of all who follow this tale. If Betsy Hackman was gone by February 11th, then who called on the 12th? The sunset cast an eerie red glow over the New Mexico desert, where dry winds whispered through every corner of the Hackmans' secluded villa. A veil of mystery cloaked Betsy Hackman's departure, yet the reason given was almost too simple, too convenient. Hantavirus. The disease is real enough. Hantavirus, a rare condition spread by rodents, primarily through inhaling bacteria from their droppings or urine, attacks the lungs, leading to respiratory failure and, ultimately, an inability to breathe. A reasonable conclusion? Perhaps. But when you peel back the layers, oddities begin to emerge. Betsy Hackman wasn't the type to be easily felled by a dire illness. At 65, she remained vibrant, devoted to Pilates, and committed to a healthy lifestyle. There were no records of her ever struggling with breathing issues before her declared passing. What truly baffled medical experts, though, is how hantavirus behaves. It doesn't strike with sudden devastation but progresses over days before turning critical. An anonymous Los Angeles doctor put it bluntly. Respiratory failure is not sudden. It is something that worsens over several days. Breathing failure doesn't hit instantly. Most hantavirus patients are hospitalized as symptoms intensify. Yet Betsy Hackman wasn't admitted anywhere, showed no respiratory distress, and supposedly collapsed abruptly. An ending too swift, too tidy. And in the realm of mysteries, when something feels overly convenient, it's often not the full truth. If Betsy Hackman had truly contracted hantavirus, she'd have shown clear symptoms: high fever, severe headaches, body aches. But according to close friends and Cloudberry Health staff, she was functioning normally right up to February 11th. Intense coughing, breathing difficulties escalating over time. Yet in that February 12th morning call, Betsy's voice betrayed no frailty, and the appointment she booked had nothing to do with lung issues. Hantavirus patients typically end up hospitalized as the disease worsens, but there's no evidence Betsy sought medical help beforehand. A major question looms. If Betsy had been infected with hantavirus days earlier, how could she still shop, visit the pharmacy, and tend to her husband as if nothing were wrong? No reports indicated a hantavirus outbreak in Santa Fe at the time. No one else in the area fell ill. Just Betsy Hackman, and only her. Even stranger, why did authorities so readily accept hantavirus as the cause without a flicker of doubt? Standard protocol dictates that a confirmed hantavirus case triggers an immediate CDC investigation to trace the source. Yet with Betsy Hackman, no such inquiry surfaced. No one hunted for the origin. No one tested the environment around her villa. No checks were made for disease-carrying rodents. Why? For an ordinary person with hantavirus, authorities would investigate promptly. For a celebrity with hantavirus, the media would buzz and the government would step in. But for Betsy Hackman, wife of a Hollywood icon, it was all accepted far too smoothly. Only one explanation fits. Hantavirus wasn't the real cause. It was merely a convenient cover. If hantavirus didn't claim Betsy Hackman, then what did? Perhaps someone didn't want the truth to surface. Could Betsy Hackman have known something she wasn't meant to? Was someone eager to silence doubts with an easily digestible cause of death? Might someone have a reason to conceal a deeper truth within the Hackman household? One thing is certain, when a cause of death feels too convenient, we must ask, who benefits from that narrative? Betsy Hackman was a resilient, spirited woman, not one to be toppled by a rare illness without a fight. Yet as the world swallows hantavirus as an obvious fact, those bold enough to question it may edge closer to the real story. And the truth is never simple. When the door to Jean and Betsy Hackman's villa swung open under police lights on that fateful day, what they found wasn't a typical scene. Everything in the house was still, unnervingly so, except for one thing. Something felt profoundly off. Betsy Hackman lay motionless on the bathroom floor. About 20 feet away, Jean Hackman was discovered on the utility room floor. No signs of a struggle, no evidence of a fight, just two bodies on the ground, as if time had frozen in that home. But something haunted the silence even more. One of their 3 dogs lay dead in its crate, starved to the point of collapse. What does that mean? A dog can survive without food for roughly 3 to 5 days. If it perished from hunger and thirst, it suggests no one in the house was alert enough to care for it for an extended period. But the biggest question isn't about the dog. It's about Jean Hackman himself. One detail that struck investigators as peculiar was the coroner's report on Jean. His stomach was completely empty. What does that imply? Jean Hackman hadn't eaten anything for a significant time before his death. This could happen if he was so confused he forgot to eat, or if no one was there to look after him. With no food in his stomach, he might have spent days alone before being found. But why didn't Jean Hackman realize his wife had passed? Reports confirmed Jean Hackman had Alzheimer's, a condition causing severe memory loss. This led investigators to a chilling theory. He may not have noticed his wife's departure for days. Picture the scene. Betsy Hackman lying there, still, while Jean Hackman moved through the house, oblivious to her condition. He might have tried to rouse her, might have called her name, but Alzheimer's clouded his ability to grasp what was happening. He could have forgotten to eat, forgotten to care for himself, until his body gave out. A tragic, heart-wrenching scenario, yet not the most baffling detail. One of the greatest puzzles in this case is how the police came to find them. If Jean Hackman was too disoriented to understand what was happening, could he have called for help? If Betsy Hackman had been gone for days, who first discovered them? Revealed details suggest the police didn't receive a direct call from the Hackman home. So who spotted this before the authorities arrived? Typically, if an elderly couple in a secluded villa suddenly vanished, neighbors or relatives would alert the police. But here, no one reported them missing. No one seemed concerned until the police showed up. 3 possibilities emerge. A relative or friend knew something, but stayed quiet for a while. Someone was at the scene, aware of the truth, but delayed notifying the police. Someone didn't want the truth revealed right away. If neither Jean nor Betsy could make a call, was someone else there? Is this case truly closed? Not quite. Why was Betsy Hackman declared dead from hantavirus with no solid proof? Why was Gene Hackman left in a state of exhaustion without food or water? How did one of their 3 dogs end up locked away until it died? If both were still alive for some time? If Gene didn't realize his wife was gone, who first found them? The story of Betsy and Gene Hackman isn't as straightforward as it appears. Every piece of evidence paints an increasingly perplexing picture. A vibrant, healthy woman suddenly declared dead from a rare disease. A man with Alzheimer's, unaware of the chaos around him. A home left in silence, bearing only traces of an unresolved tragedy. And if one thing is certain in this tale, it's this: no one knows the full story yet. Betsy Hackman vanished from life on February 11th. At least, that's what the coroner's report insists. But there's a problem. The pieces don't align with reality. As investigators pieced together Betsy's final hours, they uncovered a gaping hole in the timeline. Something inexplicable. Betsy Hackman was last seen on February 11th, a time when she still seemed healthy and alert. Yet on February 12th, someone called to book a doctor's appointment. A call traced to Betsy's number. If the coroner's report is correct, if she was gone by February 11th, then who dialed the phone the next day? Betsy Hackman wasn't a recluse. On February 11th, she had an entirely ordinary day. No hints she was about to leave this world. In the morning, Betsy visited a nearby supermarket. She picked up essentials, chatted with the cashier, and even shared a laugh with an old friend she bumped into. Later, she stopped by the pharmacy, buying vitamins and supplements. No prescriptions for someone battling hantavirus. At midday, she went to a pet store to grab supplies for their 3 dogs. The shop owner vividly recalled Betsy as they discussed one of the dogs' health, proof she showed no signs of fatigue or strain. By late afternoon, she returned home, the last time anyone saw her alive. She did all this on February 11th, and per the coroner, she passed that very day. But if she was no longer here, who called on February 12th? On the morning of February 12th, Dr. Josiah Child's Clinic received a call. It was a familiar female voice, Betsy Hackman's. The conversation was brief, but raised a flood of questions. Betsy scheduled a health checkup. She mentioned no serious symptoms, nothing suggesting someone nearing death from hantavirus. Her voice was steady, clear, unshaken, with no trace of weakness. She arranged to come in that afternoon, but never arrived. Dr. Josiah Child didn't think much of it, until he learned Betsy had reportedly died on February 11th. So, if she was gone, who placed that call? Investigators analyzed the call's evidence. Betsy Hackman's phone indeed made the call from her number on February 12th. No signs of hacking, no traces of number spoofing. The voice matched Betsy's. But if she was dead, what did that mean? 3 theories arise. Betsy Hackman didn't die on February 11th, but at a later point, meaning the coroner's report was wrong or altered. Someone mimicked Betsy's voice on February 12th to mislead the investigation. Betsy did call on February 12th, but then vanished under mysterious circumstances, only to be found later. None of these are easy to swallow. If Betsy died later, why does the coroner insist it was the 11th? If someone impersonated her, why bother? And if she called on the 12th, what happened right after? The key lies with those who last saw Betsy Hackman alive: the supermarket cashier, the pharmacy owner, the pet store clerk. All confirmed that on February 11th, Betsy showed no abnormalities. This clashes entirely with the claim she died that day from a severe respiratory illness. If someone were in hantavirus's final stages, they couldn't casually shop, chat with people, and plan ahead. These witnesses unwittingly exposed a flaw in the case. Betsy Hackman couldn't have died on February 11th. Something happened afterward. Her story holds too many gaps. Lost hours, conflicting accounts, and a call from someone who shouldn't exist. Where does the truth lie? If Betsy was gone by February 11th, who called on the 12th? If she lived past the 11th, why is there a false coroner's report? Who saw her last? And do they know more than they've let on? As investigators dig deeper, one thing grows clearer. Betsy Hackman may not have left when everyone assumes she did. And if that's true, someone's hiding what really happened in her final hours. Amid the mysteries surrounding Betsy Hackman's departure, one suspicious detail stands out: Gene Hackman's $80 million fortune. With such an immense sum at stake, the biggest question isn't just who inherits it, but whether someone had a motive to obscure the truth to claim it. As investigators delved into the case, they uncovered a massive financial void, a troubling gap in the Hackman family's inheritance plan. Most bizarre of all, Hackman's 3 children were entirely cut from the will. Is someone concealing the truth to seize this wealth? Or is it just a dubious coincidence? Gene Hackman, a Hollywood legend, amassed a staggering $80 million. Unlike many stars, though, he didn't draft a standard will. Instead, he funneled his entire estate into a private trust, a special fund designed to shield assets from lawsuits, inheritance taxes, and legal disputes. On the surface, this seems sensible. A celebrity like Hackman would naturally want to safeguard his wealth from unnecessary conflicts. But the real issue lies here. Who benefits from this trust? And here's the first oddity. Hackman's 3 children were excluded from the will. Betsy Hackman, the wife who passed under mysterious circumstances, held control over the trust. This means, if Betsy were alive, she'd command Hackman's entire fortune. But now, with both spouses gone, the critical question emerges. Who actually takes ownership of this wealth? When a fortune this vast lacks a direct heir, disputes are almost inevitable. Hackman's 3 children were cut out long ago. Did they know? Did they feel betrayed? People close to Betsy might be angling to access the money. Could someone in the Hackman family have a reason to bury the truth about Betsy's death to dominate the estate? A legal loophole has surfaced. And what happens next could rock Hollywood. Estate lawyers dug into Hackman's old will and stumbled on something startling. Gene Hackman's original will had been altered in recent years. What's suspicious about these changes? Previously, Hackman's wealth was evenly split among his 3 children, but a few years back, he removed them from the inheritance and shifted everything into his wife's trust, Betsy Hackman's domain. The trust doesn't publicly name a successor, meaning no one knows for sure who gets the money if both Hackmans are gone. This raises a huge question. Why did Gene Hackman revise his will so strangely? Who persuaded him to do it? And most crucially, did someone foresee Betsy's departure, quietly plotting to seize the fortune? With such a colossal sum, financial motives could spark dangerous schemes. Who will truly control Hackman's trust? Were the will changes part of a cunning plan? Did someone act to ensure Betsy couldn't hold the money long-term? As lawyers and investigators probe further, they sense some don't want the truth uncovered. And as secrets unravel, one thing becomes evident. The battle for $80 million is just beginning. This may be one of Hollywood's strangest cases ever. A cinematic legend, a shadowy death, an odd call from beyond, and a massive fortune with no clear owner. Is this just an unbelievable string of coincidences, or is a hidden force orchestrating it all? And the most pressing question lingers. Will the truth ever surface? Or will it stay buried forever, an untouchable secret? As the story broke wide, theories multiplied. The Hackman family has been almost completely mute. No one addresses the oddities in Betsy's death. Hollywood steers clear of it too. Whispers suggest someone's tidying up the mess. The initial coroner's probe raised too many red flags, yet was swiftly shelved. Why, if this case is so clear-cut, hasn't anyone pursued it to the end? Is someone manipulating the investigation? Or simpler still, do some prefer the truth stay hidden? Throughout his career, Gene Hackman was a Hollywood titan, a brilliant actor, a dedicated artist, an irreplaceable icon. But now, his name is tied to one of the industry's greatest enigmas. People wonder, was Gene Hackman truly innocent in all this? Did he play a role in the will changes, the strange February 12th call, or any secrets in this case? The public ponders, but Hollywood opts for silence. Is Hackman's towering reputation why no one dares dig deeper? Or are those behind this too powerful, intimidating an entire entertainment empire into submission? Looking back, the coincidences are uncanny. A call from someone declared dead, unexplained. A hantavirus death too peculiar, unquestioned. A will altered before events unfolded, unexamined. An $80 million estate suddenly airless, unnoticed as odd. Each puzzle piece stands alone, but together they form a different picture. A picture of conspiracy, manipulation, and secrets never meant to see daylight. The final question remains: who holds these secrets? And what have they done to keep the truth buried? Every time a mystery nears resolution, something blocks it. Case files close hastily. Potential witnesses back off or clam up. Evidence that could clarify either vanishes or falls short. Like an unfinished play, Gene and Betsy Hackman's story leaves too many questions, too many mysteries, and too many gaps unfilled. Will anyone keep chasing the truth? Or is this just another Hollywood enigma, forever lost to time's dust? One thing is certain: those who know the full story may never speak.